Alright guys, this video is going to be about FPP licensing. I've got chapters marked down below, so if you want to skip any of the sections and not hear me yap, then feel free to do so. There's been a lot of questions and concerns about this new FPP licensing. So hopefully this video will help clear up any of the questions and also provide you some insight on to how to use the licensing in the future. So some of the topics I'm going to cover are: why the change? Do I really need a license? What is an EEPROM? What is the licensing process? And what is the voucher redemption process? So first thing, why the change? FPP has started off as a player/scheduler program, and it's eventually evolved to where it was actually had a controller component to it. So it's basically two programs merged into one. The scheduling part of FPP is still going to maintain the same. The developers have spent hundreds, if not thousands of hours each year improving FPP and of course fixing bugs that are discovered along the way. A portion of the sales from the Culp controllers and the Falcon Pi Hat controllers went to the developers along with donations, and some of this money was used to offset some of the costs associated with FPP development. Anytime there's a new controller out on the market or a board or something like that, that they need to develop the FPP to make sure it works, they have to purchase those out of their own pocket to be able to make sure that they work. So recently, there's been an onslaught of controllers flooding the market, and they rely on FPP to use them. Without FPP, these controllers would not work and be nothing but a paperweight. And the third-party vendors, they weren't contributing anything to either the FPP code base or anything financially. So they were basically profiting off of the works of the developers that developed the FPP channel inputs or outputs. So about the same time that all of these third-party controllers started coming out, the developers were working on a new pixel protocol called DPI Pixels, which will allow 24 channels or 24 ports of controllers capability, and you get to keep the audio from the Pi. The DPI Pixels is only for Pi-based controllers. So with that, they decided that they were going to license just the BB Strings 24, which is for BeagleBone capes, and the DPI Pixel strings for the Pi, which is the enhanced Pixel strings. The old Pixel strings that everyone's been using for years and years is not being touched and not going to be licensed. The player portion of FPP does not require any sort of license, and only the BB String 48 and DBI Pixel protocol will require a license. So the big question, do I need a license? You're only going to need a license if you're going to use FPP 6 and above, and you are going to use only one of the two licensed protocols. Any of the other functionality is all going to be the same, and you don't need a license. It's only if you're using the two particularly licensed protocols. If you're not using one of those protocols, then you don't need a license. Some of the things, for example, that you do not need a license for is the FPP scheduler, a virtual matrix, LED panels, color light, FPP as a player with no pixel outputs. None of those require a license because they don't utilize the two pixel outputs that are being affected. So all BeagleBone capes use BB String 48, and so beginning with FPP 6 and above, if you want to control more than 50 pixels per port, you're going to need to license your BeagleBone based controllers. If you use them less than 50, you don't need a license. And the Raspberry Pi, the standard string format is the RPI WS281X protocol, and it can be used to control up to 3 pixel ports. The drawback with this protocol is that it uses some of the hardware that the onboard audio uses, so you can't use the onboard audio and you can use a sound card. If you're going to continue using that as you have been, then you do not need a license. However, if you want to upgrade to the DPI pixels and regain your onboard audio, or if you want to do more than 3 pixel ports, then you'll need to get a license to do those. Okay, now I'm going to go over, if you're still a little confused on to if you need a license or not, I created a little flowchart, and maybe this will make a little more sense. I hope. So this is for BeagleBone based controllers. If you use an FPP 6 or above, if you're not, then no license is required. If you are, then are you using a DIY controller? If you are, then you get a free license voucher. So contact shop.falconplayer.com and you'll get your free voucher. And it's usually a fairly quick process. If it's not a DIY controller and it's a CULP controller, then no license is needed. It's pre-signed. However, if it's one of the older F-series BeagleBones, you just have to install the EEPROM like we did there, but you select the F-series EEPROMs that are appropriate for the cape that you have. If it's not a CULP controller, then did you purchase this controller before 7/31/22? If so, then you get a free license voucher. Contact shop.falconplayer.com and you'll get a voucher for a free license. If you purchased it after that date, then you're going to need to purchase a license and contact shop.falconplayer.com to get it. So now we'll go to the Raspberry Pi based controllers. So the Raspberry Pi based controllers, so are you going to use the old 2811 format, the pixel outputs? If you are, then no license needed. You don't have to do anything. If you want to use the enhanced ones, then is it a DIY controller? If it is, then you get a voucher for a free license and contact the website to get that. If it's not a DIY controller, is it a CULP or Falcon controller? If it is, then no license is required. It'll be pre-signed. If it's not a CULP or Falcon, did you purchase it before 7/31/22? Yes, then you get a voucher for a free license at the shop.falconplayer.com. If not, then you're going to need to purchase a license. Go to the same website to purchase that license. If you need a license, you can license your FPP through 2 methods. Either purchase a license and activate it, or redeeming a voucher and activating the voucher. Vouchers are typically received from the vendor to facilitate configuring and licensing your FPP device, or from shop.falconplayer.com if your controller meets the criteria to receive a free voucher. That information is on the website. To give you more information, I'll have a link down below. And so depending on your situation, you might be eligible for a free voucher. So we're going to talk about an EEPROM. With FPP 6 and above, you're going to have an EEPROM on your FPP device. Now an EEPROM is typically an onboard memory chip that's used to identify the board capabilities, port configurations, the board functionality, and different things like that, so that you don't have to manually enter all that in. So when you plug it into the cape, it automatically knows what it can do and some basic configuration, so that you don't have to manually enter all of that. Well, with FPP 6, you're going to have the EEPROM. The problem with that is that not all boards have EEPROMs, like the Pi. If you want to just connect directly to the GPIO pins, then you can connect up to 24 strings directly that way, but the Pi does not have an EEPROM. But all you have to do is create a virtual EEPROM. And creating a virtual EEPROM is very easy. So we're going to go through how to create a virtual EEPROM. So here is a Pi with no cape. If you go here to the help, there's no cape information here. If you go to input outputs, go to your channel outputs. You see the pixel strings as normal. You click on it and it's blank because you don't have the EEPROM installed. So all you have to do is just click on install virtual EEPROM and you choose the EEPROM type that you want. You have several choices here. You have the DPI Pixels 24, and that will configure the controller to have 24 ports that you can connect and control pixels from. You can connect it directly to the GPIO pins, or if you have a hat that supports it, so anything up to 24. Then you have the Pi hat. The Pi hat is for the standard 2-port controllers that are out there, or connecting directly to it for just the standard 2-port. If you select this option, and you'll see that in a minute, you can also enhance that to be the DPI one so that you can keep the audio. But if you're only doing the standard 2-pixel outputs, you'll select the Pi hat type. Then you have the 2 RPI ones. These are for Hanson electronic controllers, and S Pixels is an older pixel format that hardly anyone is using. So we're going to select the Pi hat, going to install it, and that's it. It's installed. Reboot, and it's going to reboot. And after it reboots, okay, now that it's rebooted, you see that it's got the Pi hat. If we do 51 pixels, you see that it'll take it, gives you a warning because you have the overlaps. 153 is less than 150, or 153 is greater than 151. So you got some channel overlaps. That's just a warning. But if you see, there's no red banner around it indicating that we've exceeded the pixel count. So if we want to use the onboard audio on this one and get the enhanced pixels, now we have an option that we could select it. So we select it, and then you get the error message saying that it's not signed and you're only limited to 50 pixels, and go to the CAPE info page for more details. So just to show you, if I change this to 51, you see that you get a red banner around it. It turns red and indicates, and it tells you it's not licensed for any output, so you can only use 50. Even though it's licensed for 0, you can still use up to 50. So that's how you create a virtual EEPROM. So the license process. First, you need to purchase a correct license, and the licenses go by the number of ports that you want to use. And the licenses are stackable. You can purchase a 2-port license and then a little bit later purchase another 2-port license, and that will work. But sometimes it makes more sense to buy one that's just a little bit higher and then go from there. Then after you purchase the license, then you have to sign your EEPROM. And there's 2 ways, either the online signing or the offline signing. Online signing is if your FPP device has access to the internet, and offline signing obviously is if your FPP does not have access to the internet. So I'm going to go through the process of buying a license. So go to shop.falconplayer.com, and in this case I'm going to be formatting a 4-port CAPE that I got. Darren Hedlund donated one of his M4 Pi controllers from microcybe.com for me to demonstrate how to do this, both in the manual and this video, which I greatly appreciated. There's a link below to his website if you're interested in one of his controllers. So it's a 4-port. I could buy 2 2-ports for $10, or I could buy an 8-port for $10. It's the same price. And if there's at some point down the road that I need 2 additional ports on this controller, then I'll have it. But you could do either one. So we're going to add it to the cart. And you have to have an account with Shop Falcon Player. If you don't already have an account, when you purchase it, it will create the account for you. So we view the cart, and you see here it is for $10. Now if you look, there's charging tax. That's only for Washington, because in the state of Washington, even digital downloads, companies have to collect tax for it. So that's something that's Washington only. Because I am doing this a lot, I have a coupon that I can apply that will give me it for free. Otherwise, I would have bought probably 100 of these, the number of times that I've done this in testing and everything else. So once you apply the coupon, you'd actually purchase it. You wouldn't have the coupon to apply, but you'd purchase it, and then you'd go to the checkout. Then once at the checkout, check all your personal information, make sure it's all right, everything there, to make sure the number of outputs and everything is correct, then place the order. It'll take just a minute or two to process. And once it is, you'll get an order number, and then down here you'll get your key. I would suggest copying that key so you don't have to type it all in. And the order number is 706. And that's how you purchase the license. So now we're going to go on to the online signing. So you have to have that information. You'll also get an email with that information so that it will be there, and you can get it if you log back into that to the website as well. So you're going to have that information in a couple different places in case you lose it. So to do the online signing, I'm going to go to our FPP device. So here I've got the M4 Pi. If you look here, it's got the CAPE info. If I go to the channel outputs, you'll see that it's here. I get the information stating that it's not signed, a message over here saying it's not signed, and it's limited to 50 pixels. So you go to the CAPE info page here, or you can go to help, CAPE info here. So to sign it, you go to the EEPROM signature, and you do the order number, which the order number was 706. So we do the order number 706. We'll paste that key in and sign the EEPROM. It'll take about a minute or so, not very long. So it says that it was done. So we close it, and you see here it says that there's 8 outputs licensed when it was signed, everything else, and then you just need to reboot to finish the process. That is the online signing. Now we're going to go to the offline signing. So we're going to pull up this is our Pi without the CAPE. I'm going to go to CAPE info. And from here, because it recognizes that we're not online, so it gives us the option of the offline signing. The offline signing takes a few more steps, but it's not that difficult. So you go to the offline signing, going to put your order number, which was 706. Paste your license key. Then you're going to download an offline signing packet. This is going to give you a packet here that you need for signing. After that, if you'll need to copy this to a device that has access to the internet. If this computer has it, or if this is a laptop and you connect it to the internet, then that's fine. So you just need to have this file on a device that's able to connect to the internet. So once you do that, then you're going to go to this website here, the shop.falconplayer.com offline signing, and then you upload that packet. So you have the offline signing, going to do the order number 706, do the license key, choose that file that was just downloaded, which was this one, and then sign the EEPROM. It'll take a couple minutes for it to go through. It's been signed, and now you have a signed EEPROM. Once you have that signed EEPROM, if it going to be going onto a different computer to access your FPP device, then connect put it on an SD card or USB drive or something like that you have access. Go back to your signing packet here. Then you just upload that file, which is this signing one. Say open. And then once it's there, make sure it's there, making sure it says the signed.bin. Then upload that packet. It'll take a couple minutes to go through the verification. And there it is. It shows that you got 8 outputs, FPP internal, and it's done. So you can go back to the channel outputs and see. If you look now, if I do 100, I don't get that red box, and I don't get the message saying that it's not signed. So that's how you do the offline. Okay, so now we're going to go over the voucher process. So redeeming a voucher, first off, you got to get a voucher. Most of the time, like I mentioned, the third-party vendors will supply you with a voucher for the license keys that you need to get your controller up and running. If they don't, then you have to purchase a license yourself. Or there are some cases where you can get a voucher for free license keys, and that information is on the shop.falconplayer.com. Once you get your voucher, then there's 2 methods of activating. You've got the online activation and the offline activation. And we really kind of went over the offline activation, but we'll go over it again. So get a voucher. So like I said, get it from your vendor or from the shop.falcon, and when you get that, then you can proceed. Okay, so we're going to go over the voucher online signing. Okay, so now we're going to do the voucher redemption. So you're going to put the voucher that you received in there, and then you fill in your personal information here. If you already have an account, make sure that you enter your email and password that you used. If not, when you enter your password here, remember what you entered, because it will create an account for you. So I have a test account, so my name on that account is test user. And once you enter that information in, you redeem the voucher. It'll take a minute or so to redeem it. And it says that it was done, signed. I'm going to finish it up here. And it's signed, everything's done. You can see that it's here. It's signed for 8 keys, and it's for the DPI pixels. So just reboot to finish that installation process. Okay, should be rebooted. Let's go to the channel outputs. And you see here that you have the 4 outputs, and if I try and do more than 50 pixels, I don't get a problem. So it's been signed and configured and ready to go. So that's how you do the voucher online signing. Okay, so the voucher offline signing is almost the same as the offline signing for the key. So you'll go to the Shop Falcon Player, and you actually go like you're going to purchase the key that you want. So in this case, we're going to go to this 8-port. Going to view the cart, And when you get to here, you're going to put your voucher coupon in there. That'll be your voucher. And then when you apply that, then it'll give you a $0 amount. So you just proceed to the checkout and then go through, place the order. And then you've got an order number, and then you have the license key. So copy the license key, and the order number was 708. And then we'll go to our Pi here, and because it's not online, we just go through the same process. We're going to put the order, which was, already forgot, 708. So we're going to go 708, going to paste our license key, download the offline signing packet, and you'll get the file. Like before, you copy it to a device if you're going to put it onto a computer that has access to the internet. Go to the offline signing, 708 I think. Yep, 708. I'm going to paste the key that we had. I'm going to choose the file, and that's the file that we just did. And then make sure that it's in there. I'm going to sign it. And you see it now, it gives you the signed bin. You can see in there. And so you go back to your Pi. If you have to copy that to a file, go ahead and do that. And move over to the computer that's got access to your FPP. If they're the same, you don't have to do anything. Select the file. We're going to go with the signed bin file that we just got. I'm going to upload that packet. Make sure it says signed in the name. It'll go through its signing process. And now you see here it's signed for 24 outputs, and it's ready to go. Got the offline. If you want to go to the input outputs, channel outputs, you see here that now I can go over 50 channels or 50 pixels, and of course we get that warning, but go through. So that's how you do the offline signing. So that's the end. I hope this covers everything that you need and it answers your questions. If not, jump in the Zoom room or ask a question in one of the forums. Hopefully this makes things a lot clearer. Thanks and have a great day.